These videos will make you question everything. So remember, this is for entertainment purposes only. Let's check it out.
Could this be proof that we live in a controlled environment? Then if not, then please explain this to me, y'all. Check this video out. Check it out.
How are we seeing the shadow of the tree from the flashlight when it's the sky behind the tree?
How is that possible, y'all?
And why is there a stop point at the end of my flashlight when it's pointed at the sky? Why isn't it going on farther?
How close to the ceiling are we?
Okay.
Is it because of the clouds?
It doesn't make any sense.
Look at that sky, y'all. Look.
Maybe I'm just dumb and I just don't get it.
You see the shadow?
There's a shadow in the sky.
You see the shadow?
Hold on, let me see if I can zoom. There's a shadow.
How is that possible? How is there a shadow in the sky from the trees?
Okay.
We see the circle of light. I don't think I've ever seen that before in my life.
I don't think I have either, not in the sky. It just kind of...
Literally, y'all, check this out. You guys ever seen the Truman Show? Look, the sky looks just like that, y'all. It looks just like this. Look at that.
That goes to show.
That's actually insane. I gotta get a video so I can
It's real. Because look at the end of that. All over there. Clear, clear, boom. Touching the sky and the ground.
But we are all standing under a glass ceiling right now. Although we weren't able to shatter that highest, hardest glass ceiling this time, thanks to you, it's got about 18 million cracks in it. We just put the biggest crack in that glass ceiling yet. Thanks to you and to everyone who's fought so hard to make this possible. I know we have still not shattered that highest and hardest glass ceiling, but someday someone will, and hopefully sooner than we might think right now.
So I'm guessing now for sure people are going to be continuing on with the theory that we never went to the moon, because they're going to say there's no way they broke through the firmament.
That is not normal. Everyone is looking up, wondering why the sky is split. Look. Sky is broken. And everybody knows something's fishy, don't you? It's fishy, ain't it?
You know, that's the first time I ever seen this.
That's right. It's fishy.
Hey, TikTok, I want to tell you something. The earth is exactly how the Bible says it is. It is a circle as mentioned in Isaiah 40:22 that sits on pillars mentioned in 1 Samuel chapter 2 verse 8 and Job 9:6, and it doesn't move. We are not spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. If we were spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, there wouldn't be nothing left on earth. The creator of all things divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. In the book of Job 37:18 describes it as strong and molten looking glass. Why am I telling you this? Because no one has ever been through the firmament. No one. They can't get through it. Another thing is the creator of all things is on the other side of it. And do you remember when God gave Moses the power to split the waters? He said, heaven is my throne and earth is my footstool. I'm telling you, the creator of all things is on the other side of the firmament with the new holy Jerusalem that will descend out of heaven, as mentioned in Revelation 21. And he's going to part the waters again one day and make a grand entrance with all the holy angels.
This pilot, from Greece, proves flat Earth. He filmed the sun and the moon at the same time, on a flat horizon.
Από τα δεξιά έχουμε τον ήλιο που δει και από τα αριστερά έχουμε το φεγγάρι. ¿Qué te dije?
El sonido ahí viene. Ahí viene el sonido.
Why was there a jump cut in the video? Why was there an edit? Stop it. If you would have kept it going the entire time with no edits or anything like that, I'd be like, oh, okay, this might be something we got to talk about. You know what I mean? Stop it, bro. Like, you clipped away in everything.
They finally cracked the firmament.
This is not a waterfall. This is not coming from a mountain or a cliff. This is actually coming from our sky. The dome that's over the earth has finally been cracked. This is not a waterfall.
We look at their rockets. This is how they claim they get into outer space, is these rockets. Their rockets never go straight up. Every single rocket launch from a government space agency, you'll notice, follows a parabolic curve. It goes up, it reaches a peak, but what they do is as the rocket starts coming back down, they make sure that it goes down over the ocean, out of the way of any curious observers. Anyone can see it coming back down to Earth, asks, hey, how come the rocket's not going up anymore? Well, it's going around the curvature of the Earth, is what they tell us. So every single rocket, the reason that it follows a parabolic curve, they say, is because it's going around the curvature of the Earth. The real reason is they can't get up any higher than that.
The only thing that's been to space is your imagination.
They tell us that the Earth is a sphere. They show us pictures of a sphere, of a circle. It's a perfect circle. And then they come out and they say, well, it's actually an oblate spheroid. Oh, what's that? Well, it's a sphere that's flattened at both poles, so it's more of an oval shape. It actually bulges out south of the equator, as well as being flattened at the poles. So it's more pear-shaped.
So it's not actually a sphere. It's oblate. And officially it's an oblate spheroid. That's what we call it. But not only that, it's slightly wider below the equator than above the equator. A little chubbier. Yeah. Chubby's a good word. It's like pear-shaped.
So now it's pear-shaped. So
So now we went from worrying about aliens coming here to now that we live in a closed system. Now that's the thing. I'm not knocking it. I'm asking questions. Let's get to the bottom. Let's figure it out together. So now all of a sudden we cannot leave Earth, right? We're under a firmament, right? So somebody has to explain to me asteroids and meteors, how they continuously get here. We got to figure all of that out for y'all to get me to start to like buy in somewhat to this whole firmament and we live under a dome.
Undeniable evidence that we do live under a dome or the firmament. Now, first of all, why is it that every single ancient culture and society all depicted the dome and the flat earth? Even the Masons did that. Here's us. Here's the Egyptians' depiction. The blue sky, the firmament, and the stars on the firmament. Here's the Hebrew, and I want you to take note of this. Waters above the firmament. Here's a real close-up of the stars. This is what a real close-up of stars look like under a Nikon 9000, the most powerful camera in the world. Does that look familiar to you? Waters above the firmament? Quotes in the Bible about the firmament. And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were on top of the firmament. Genesis 1:7. Why is it when you put a camera at the North Star, they always do perfect circles? If we're really doing this, then you should see the stars do all sorts of crazy patterns, not perfect circles. That's because the stars are moving and we are stationary. I got so much more evidence. If you want a part 2, let me know. And I'm going to tell you in the comments.
Are they hiding more land from us? I think they are. If you've seen any of my videos, you know that I talk about how the globe deception was created to hide God from us, to make us think we are insignificant coming from a big bang billions of years ago. I don't believe any of that. I believe God created the place we live, and I think he also created more lands that we live. I think there are more than 7 continents. In fact, I think One of those continents isn't even a continent, but an ice wall that surrounds our current living situation. See, I think there's a chance that we live on something more like this. A big, flat plain where we currently live is surrounded by a giant ice wall that I'm going to show you in a minute. And the 60th parallel is about around what that ice wall would be, and we're not allowed to explore any of this outer land. So this is a possibility. I think even something like this is a possibility, where there's bigger and bigger ice walls. And for flat earthers out there, we know there's a dome above us. Maybe there's different domes in different areas. And I'm going to show you how this would even work, and how the sun that we see could even work on all these different domes in different lands. I personally even like this one, where potentially each dome is a higher level of vibration that you have to get to. We're stuck in the lowest vibrating area, but maybe through our first dome, you got to be vibrating at a little higher level. And then maybe that outer dome is what's called heaven. First, I want to show you this if you don't know about it. It's called the Antarctic Treaty, and it was signed in 1959 by literally dozens of countries that you would never guess would be able to agree on a treaty, not only at the time, but for the next 60 years. Okay, so it states basically that you cannot travel to this below the 60th parallel unless it's a supervised guided tour. Okay, so basically none of you watching this are allowed to go to Antarctica. And in the globe, Antarctica is a continent at the bottom of the map. The flat earth world, Antarctica is the ice wall that I'm going to show you in a minute that surrounds us and keeps you from traveling to the outer lands. So I just want to show you here, in the globe model, 60th parallel, it's here, it goes all the way around. You cannot go here unless you pay $30,000 for a guided tour that probably takes you like just to somewhere around Deception Island. Deception Island, yes. So let's show you what this looks like on the actual map of the world you live on. All right, so here's where you actually live. This is a map from 1892, an actual map. Notice there's no Antarctica on it, because this is Antarctica, this ice wall that, again, I'm going to show you in a minute. It surrounds the other continents, and I would put my house on it, that there are lands out here that we are not allowed to go to. All right, this is actual Navy footage from 1957, and I'm going to show you this never-ending ice wall. And I even fast forward through it because the film is so long, and it never ends. And you can go do this yourself. Go research what the highest land is in all of the world. It's Antarctica. It is the highest elevation land. That is easily researchable. They don't even hide it from you because it holds in our oceans. Look at this. It never ends. There's another shot here from a distant, and they like pan. This surrounds us. This keeps us trapped in the known world. And I would, like I said, I would put money on it that there are lands outside of here. And I'm going to show you how that would work with the sun we have. Look at this. Never ends. Most of you probably don't even know this exists. This is Antarctica. This is the ice wall. It surrounds known lands, and you are trapped here under a dome. All right, I want you to get a better look at this here, 1892 map. This is what all the maps looked like before the public indoctrination centers funded by John D. Rockefeller started throwing the globes at everybody, okay? Look at this. There are actual maps that outline the ice wall back before they pushed the globe. Just want you to get a look at this. And I want to show you how the sun we see would actually work on the outer lands. Follow along next.
On the right is an eclipse that I filmed, and on the left is an eclipse that I created from a rear projection onto a paper towel. So this is an eclipse that was filmed a few years ago, and it's about 90% eclipse, and we see these two little eclipse lights. Well, one of them that's moving around, that's clearly a lens flare, it's moving with the camera, but the other one is locked to the sun. The amount of the lit part of these little lights is about what the sun is in the eclipse, but you don't notice it because it's so bright it's blowing out the lens. But they do match. So what is that? I think it's the projector, the source of the sun that we see.
Yep.
So if we do my experiment, we get our paper towel sky, we have the rear projection sun, and it's being eclipsed by a disk. Nobody has ever seen the moon approach, eclipse, or exit the face of the sun during an eclipse. But if you look at the paper towel, which represents the sky, you don't see it. Here it is exiting. You don't see what's eclipsing the sun. You just see a circular shape. Okay? But what if the sky was more transparent? So now I have thinner tissue here and doing the same thing, and look, right there. There's the source. It's not a theory. That is the source of the eclipse. That is the projector of the light. And when we compare them to an actual eclipse, it matches. Prove me wrong.
All right, so I just want to clarify what he's saying here. He's saying the sun that we see, when we're outside and we see the sun, that's not it's not a giant ball of gas 93 million miles away. But what it actually is, it's like seeing a rainbow, okay? It's not something physical that's there. It's a projection from a light source that is beyond the firmament, okay? So I want to show you how this ties in to how there could be more land, more outer lands, potentially all with domes, potentially not. But I want to show you how this works in my theory here and what I say is potentially going off. All right, so here I'm taking my iPhone light and I'm putting it on a paperweight here, and it is creating a very similar thing to what it looks like the sun looks like in our field of vision. See that? So now what I did is I grabbed multiple paperweights, all coming from the same light source, and they all have that little glow that could be the projection of the sun in the different lands with potentially different domes above them. I can understand if you have a hard time believing that the globe was created to hide God from you. That's a hard sell, that's a hard jump. But what if your belief in this is preventing us from reaching our true freedom where we don't have corrupt governments ruling over us? Think about it.
I can't knock anybody for it, you know what I mean? Because I have my beliefs and different things that people may say is outlandish to them and completely crazy. You know, my only question and pushback is, what about the atmosphere? What about that? How do we explain the atmosphere? How do we also explain satellites, where the satellites located and stuff like that? How do we explain where they're located? Are they inside the firmament or outside the firmament? How are we making a connection and how different things like that?
My guy. So if y'all watched my last video, y'all know that I was talking about how we actually live underneath the firmament. But in that video, I told y'all at the end that I was going to tell y'all what stars were. Now listen up, because this finna be crazy. So when I was looking through my comments, I seen a lot of people saying that when they look through telescopes, that the stars look like lights underwater. Someone also said they shake like ripples, and they look like as if you're looking through water. So I was looking at the comments and I was like, oh, they don't know. They don't know what stars is. Woo! Well, let me tell you. See, what y'all don't know is stars are actually dancing glimpses of light, interacting with the water above the firmament. See, when God made the firmament, he divided the waters from which they were under the firmament and the waters that was above the firmament. Why you think the sky is blue? Big bodies of water is always going to turn the water blue. Just like when you get in your bathtub, the water come out clear, but once it fills up the tub, it has that blue tint to it. See, I'm finna show y'all a video of someone zooming up to a star with their phone. See, those colors that you see coming off of the stars are based off a wavelength interval and frequency interval. Now listen to that word I just said, frequency. Alright, so now I'm about to show y'all a video of a scientist creating a star and saying what you need to create one.
This star in a jar
is made when a sound wave is passed through a small bubble inside a flask of liquid. And this sound wave makes the bubble do something remarkable. First it expands, then it collapses. And this collapse happens so violently that vapor molecules trapped inside the bubble slam together and heat up so much that the bubble gives off an incredible burst of heat and light, several thousand times a second, giving the appearance of a star.
Woo! So keywords: sound wave, frequency, water bubbles. A strong sound wave frequency creating such a strong force through a water bubble that makes it collapse and burst into light, creating a star. Now remember when I said that the color of the stars that keep on changing is based off a wavelength interval and frequency interval. Now God said, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He said, let there be light, and there was light, creating light with the sound, vibration, and frequency of his voice. The Word is God. He created those same stars using the frequency of his voice and using the water bubbles throughout the water above the firmament. His voice was so powerful that it allowed the bubbles to collapse, making dancing water glimpses of light. See, Japanese scientist Masaru Emoto came up with a new way to capture messages through water. He took samples of water and freeze them at negative 25 degrees. He'll then analyze the water after a few hours underneath a dark field microscope with photographic capabilities in a lab and a constant temperature of negative 5 degrees. He'll then test out different audio frequencies and human sound vibrations on each sample. He focuses on human vibration energy, such as thoughts, words, music, and how it affects the molecular structure of water. Here's some of his results and works of him doing it. Using different sounds and words, creating different shapes on the water, as so. It's similar to the way semantics work. Basically, as the pitch and the tone increases, geometric patterns will form and become more complex. Semantics, or sound frequencies in water, resembles the pulsating pattern of what an actual star looks like when zoomed in. Different frequencies and sounds and vibrations in water created the different forms of dancing glimpses of light. The Book of Enoch also talks about how lightning comes from the stars, but they will not lose their form. The Bible also talks about how powerful God's voice is. It's the sound of rumbling thunder when he speaks. So remember, God spoke the word into being, and it was so. Such as words, speech, sound, frequency, vibration. His words created the stars within the water above the firmament. The same way that scientists just showed us how they made a star. Using water by adding a frequency of a strong enough sound and vibration. What sound is more powerful than God's? Creating water bubbles that collapsed and bursted into light is the same way that God spoke light into existence, using the frequency, vibration, and sound of his voice through the water of the firmament, creating water bubbles all throughout the water, that his word was so strong it allowed the bubbles to burst into light, creating stars, creating the dancing glimpses of water above the firmament. So always remember, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The Word, frequency, sound, vibration, speech, sound wavelength. Ooh, what a God.
About
balcony. It's about 10 o'clock at night. It's almost dark. It's amazing. You can see the moon shining and reflecting brilliantly on the water. But then as you pan to the left, it's actually still daylight over here. And the sunset. Look at that beauty. And it won't ever completely settle over there. It will stay light. Over here.
The video I just showed you is only possible on a flat earth. The sun and the moon are both inside of the firmament. The sun and the moon. And they go in a circle corresponding to each other. And this is exactly why we see the sun and the moon at the same time sometimes. Sometimes we'll see the moon during the day because we live on a flat earth and the sun and moon is inside the firmament.
Balcony.
Bro, it's Alaska, number one. I bet if you talk to people who live in Alaska, they'll probably tell you that this is normal. This is normal. You know what I mean? But a lot of people are using it to prove their theories of this whole flat earth thing. You know what I mean? I'm not knocking you for it, but I would believe that it's just due to it being relative in location or where it's at and that this is happening and this is quite normal.